And welcome back to the Junius Maltby channel. Here we are, living once again in a situation that we all saw coming. You don't want to use the word predicted because, you don't really predict when you see someone blow a red light and collide with another vehicle. It's kind of obvious. You anticipated it. You even held your breath with the anticipation. And here we are, just days after we were discussing this very topic. You remember? Seems like yesterday. It was probably the day before. I think we were doing a live. We were discussing just the state of things as we usually do. And I brought the viewers over to Coinflation, the website. We took a look at nickels. We discussed how nickels have once again breached the intrinsic value of 5 cents. And they were at that point about 105%. Of their metal content was about 105% of their declared currency value in the eyes of the government. They were worth 5.3, 5.5, or something like that, 5.3 cents, maybe 5.6 cents, something in that range. That's not the important part. The point is they're worth more in metal than they are in their currency valuation, which they've done this before. They get hoarded. People do stockpile and hoard nickels as well as pre-82 pennies, which I come to think of it. I was just talking to a friend about that. I haven't seen pre-82 pennies in my change in a while. They're getting hoarded out of existence. And it's those words we've used in the past, and then we've done videos on it. It's Greshams Law. Greshams Law of economics. The money that you have, or the coins that are in circulation, once their intrinsic value exceeds their face value, they will be hoarded out of existence. And now, this is happening, obviously, with U.S. coinage. And as the dollar weakens and becomes further debased and devalued, it will only accelerate. And as we've said in the past, there will come a day where you'll probably see either the nickel or the penny, one of them, or both, exceed a full dollar's worth just because of their metal content. Well, in reaction to this, and of course they'll make excuses. They always make excuses. You can see the excuses they made when the Coinage Act was signed in 1965, when LBJ, President Johnson, promised us that, of course, the silver would still circulate. No one will know any difference. The coins will look the same. They'll have silver coatings, yada, yada, yada. And, of course, what happened? The silver coinage was hoarded out of existence immediately. And I would encourage you to explore the Coinage Act of 1965. We've covered it here on the channel in the past. You can look up a video we did called Vietnam War and Silver. There was a whole story about that. Very highly linked together, those two situations. Obviously, war debt destroyed the dollar and created a run on silver because of it. So I would encourage you to explore that as well. But here we are, the United States Mint. The United States Mint. What are they going to try to do? They're going to try to change the alloy content of the nickel, probably of all coinage. They should just make them out of plastic, Or what they could do is they could take all the masks after the COOF and the COVID. And maybe recycle the masks if they're made out of synthetics, melt them down, and then stamp them into coins from that. And that way we can kind of get rid of them that way. We'll come up with a solution, I'm sure. But I hope you guys can see through this. I hope you know what's happening. This is a dying currency. This is a dying dollar. It's further evidence of it. When the smallest units of account, the smallest pieces of currency are having to be replaced and devalued and debased. They're debasing the lowest currency units that we have now. Of course, the dollar, they always do. But now they can't even afford to make these things out of scrap metal. It's unbelievable.
Thank you for that, Junius. Now, I thought it was important that before we get into today's article that we take a look at the remarks that were made at the signing of the Coinage Act. And these were remarks made by the 36th President of the United States, Lyndon B. Johnson. Now, in this example, the lies were concerning silver. But what I encourage all of you to do on this channel is to draw a parallel. Draw a parallel between the two and ask yourself, many of you on this channel, truly, you're already there. You're already there. There's massive government distrust. It doesn't matter what country you are from. There's a reason why we are all on the Junius Maltby channel, and we appreciate each and every one of you. But definitely make comparisons. Understand what is happening here. So let's take a look at what they said about silver And then we'll read the article today or yesterday that they put out regarding the nickel. And I quote here, Lyndon B. Johnson at the signing of the Coinage Act. Some have asked whether our silver coins will disappear. The answer is very definitely no. Our present silver coins won't disappear, and they won't even become rarities. We estimate that there are now 12 billion, I repeat, more than 12 billion silver dimes and quarters and half dollars that are now outstanding. We will make another billion before we halt production, and they will be used side by side with our new coins. Since the life of a silver coin is about 25 years, we expect our traditional silver coins to be with us in large numbers for a long, long time. If anybody has any idea of hoarding our silver coins, let me say this. Treasury has a lot of silver on hand, and it can be, and it will be used to keep the price of silver in line with its value in our present silver coin. There will be no profit in holding them out of circulation for the value of their silver content. The new coins are not going to have a scarcity value either. The mint is geared to get into production quickly and to do it on a massive scale. We expect to produce not less than 3.5 billions of the new coins in the next year, and if necessary, twice that amount in the following 12 months. Thank you for those remarks, Mr. Government Man. Let's do our own quick recap on what actually happened regarding the decline and fall of American currency, and that includes its purchasing power and inevitably its intrinsic value. Let's take a look at the dollar debasement, right? The dollar debasement over time. 1933, American citizens were banned from holding gold or gold certificates. And you guys know this. You guys know all of this. I'm picking up my brain here because we've covered it at length here on the channel. We've got 1965, as I just read, LBJ, President Johnson. And what did he do? He removed silver from U.S. coinage. We'll move on. Move on to 1971. Nixon. Nixon closed the gold window, and he removed the Bretton Woods peg of the dollar to gold internationally for other countries and nations' banks. And so what did that do? It left dollars now floating against the baskets of other currencies. And it was the world reserve currency, backed by nothing.
The strength of a nation's currency is based on the strength of that nation's economy. And the American economy is by far the strongest in the world. Accordingly, I have directed the Secretary of the Treasury to take the action necessary to defend the dollar against the speculators. I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold or other reserve assets, except in amounts and conditions determined to be in the interest of monetary stability and in the best interest of the United States. Now, what is this action, which is very technical, what does it mean for you? Let me lay to rest the bugaboo of what is called devaluation. If you want to buy a foreign car or take a trip abroad, market conditions may cause your dollar to buy slightly less. But if you are among the overwhelming majority of Americans who buy American-made products in America, your dollar will be worth just as much tomorrow as it is today. The effect of this action, in other words, will be to stabilize the dollar.
We move on further down the road. Now we're at 1982. We remove copper from the penny. The dollar continues to weaken, or it continued, I suppose. It continued to weaken, and commodity values increased and rose because of this weakness, or as Junius would call it, leper currency. They were forced to remove the copper from pennies. And as you know, the 1982 and earlier pennies were 95% copper. And now they are worth 240% or more of their face value. So that's 2.5 cents for every pre-82 penny. It's now the nickel's turn to fall under this knife of statist inflation and hyperinflation. And it's the poor nickel's turn to be sacrificed on, how would Junius say it, the altar of government malfeasance and currency debasement and devaluation? I don't know. He does it better than I do. But you guys know what I'm getting at. So with that, let's get into it. Let's get into the nickel article. Mint ready to implement alloy change for coins pending approval. The United States Mint's fifth biennial report on technological research into alternate compositions for circulating coinage was recently submitted to Congress. One of the potential metallic alternatives for the 5-cent dime and quarter dollar is ready for implementation, pending congressional authorization. The Mint also submitted reports in 2012, 2014, 2016, and 2018 under provisions of the Coin Modernization, Oversight, and Continuity Act of 2020, or Public Law 111-302. The primary impetus for the ongoing research is the production cost for the cent and the 5-cent coin, which each continues to run above the coin's face value. The research focuses on alternatives for the copper-plated zinc Lincoln set, copper-nickel Jefferson 5-cent coins, and copper-nickel-clad Roosevelt dime and America the Beautiful quarter dollars. The costs for all four denominations are lower in the 2020 report than they were in 2018, except for the dime, whose costs remained the same. The fiscal year 2020 costs were 1.76 cents for the Lincoln cent, 7.42 cents for the Jefferson 5-cent coin, 3.73 cents for the Roosevelt dime, and 8.62 cents for each for the America the Beautiful quarter dollars. These costs compare to fiscal year 2018's 2.06 cents for the cent, 7.53 cents for the 5-cent coin, 3.73 cents for the dime, and 8.87 cents for the quarter dollar. The Mint's research has resulted in discovery of a number of potentially seamless alloys, or substitutions that would require little or no modification to coin-accepting equipment, but they offer only incremental material savings and several, quote, co-circulating alternatives that could enter circulation with existing coinage. While potential alternatives could lower costs for the cent, none is identified that would bring overall costs below face value. The U.S. Mint conducted more focused research into 5 potential compositions, including one for the cent. One of the remaining 4 is fully ready for implementation, pending congressional authority. Now, that possible alternative is referenced as 80-20. The alternative is a seamless variant to the present 75% copper, 25% nickel homogeneous alloy used for the 5-cent coin and as the cladding for the dime, quarter dollar, and the Kennedy half dollar. But the 80-20 uses more copper, less nickel, and adds manganese. The 80-20 composition is actually 77% copper, 20% nickel, and 3% manganese. Now, take a look. They list here 3 other potential alternatives under consideration for the 5-cent, dime, quarter dollar, and half dollar are 1. C99750T-M. Potentially seamless, developed jointly with the National Institutes of Standards and Technology at 50.75% copper, 14% nickel, 33% zinc, and 2.1% manganese. 2. Nickel steel. Monolithic alloy developed uniquely by the Mint. Austenitic steel, not attracted to magnets, with nickel content at 25% and the balance being lower cost iron and some manganese versus the coin's current 75% copper content. And last, nickel-plated silicon steel. A U.S. Mint-produced co-circulating alternative with a distinguishable electromagnetic signature for coin-accepting equipment that offers, quote, less opportunity for substitution with other commonly available plated steel coins, which are plated on low-carbon steel, end quote. U.S. Mint researchers identified a copper-plated steel cent as an alternative to the copper-plated zinc cent. The option would be seamless, with the same dimensions and weight as the current cent, but a different electromagnetic signature. And you can find this full 2020 BS biennial report to Congress on the Mint website, along with the previous 4 reports and they give you the usmint.gov site. So there you have it. All right, so in light of the news that we just took a look at, I think it's appropriate to refer now to Greshams Law. Let's do a little review, a little recap on that. And what is Greshams Law? Greshams Law is a monetary principle stating that, quote, bad money drives out good. It is primarily used for consideration and application in currency markets. Since the abandonment of metallic currency standards, the theory has been applied to the relative stability of different currencies' value in global markets. So key points to take away from Gresham's Law, everyone. Gresham's Law says that legally overvalued currency will tend to drive legally undervalued currency out of circulation. Gresham's Law originated as an observation of the effects of metallic currency debasement, but also applies in today's world of paper and electronic monies. In the absence of effectively enforced legal tender laws, such as in hyperinflationary crises or international commodity and currency markets, Gresham's Law operates in reverse. So, the law holds that bad money drives out good money in circulation. Bad money is then the currency that is considered to have equal or less intrinsic value compared to its face value. Meanwhile, good money is currency that is believed to have greater intrinsic value or more potential for greater value than its face value. Now, Junius and I, we have our little stash, as should all of you. He's been collecting pre-1982 pennies for years now. And what happens is all the coins, he practically makes me dump my wallet. I mean, these days I hardly get coins anymore as change, but when I do, he'll either look through my wallet or I'll dump it into this cactus jar. And then once in a while, we'll take a look inside the cactus jar and see what is in there, and anything that's pre-1982 for the penny goes into this big black box. So, as always, everyone, thank you for joining us on the Junius Maltby channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and hit the bell for notification settings. A lot of you sometimes don't get the alerts or say you missed the lives or you missed the videos because you weren't alerted. So hit the bell. I find that helps. I wasn't even getting the notifications, and I live with Junius. So, have a wonderful afternoon. Have a wonderful day. And we'll catch you next time, be it here in a video or in the community chat, which you can access through Junius's page. Just click on his actual YouTube page and you'll see the tab for community there. And you'll see some articles and some polls and some further interaction that we have with you when we're not making videos.